You have managed to build your empire, to climb the ranks, to start a family. And yet, as soon as you cross the threshold of your father's house, a single sentence is enough to sweep it all away. Did you see the neighbor's son? He just bought a new car. Now he has truly succeeded. In 1 second, you are no longer that respected man. You become that insufficient little boy again, crushed by the shadow of a complete stranger. Why does your father have this visceral need to glorify others just to better humiliate you? The truth is dark. This comparison is not a clumsy mistake. It is a weapon of mass destruction. Your father uses the neighbor's son as a psychological whip to ensure that you will never feel tall enough, strong enough, or worthy enough of his love. It is a training technique to keep your ego on a leash and keep you under his eternal domination. In this video, we are going to break this distorted mirror. We will dissect this pathology of the toxic father who projects his own failures onto your shoulders. I will reveal the Machiavellian mechanisms he uses to turn your victories into ashes, and how this ideal son is nothing but a ghost created from scratch to paralyze you. If you do not kill this fatherly voice in your mind, you will spend your life running a marathon where he moves the finish line with every step. You will end up exhausted, bitter, and a stranger to your own success. Prepare yourself, because what is coming in the first chapter will shake you. We are going to see how your father uses your achievements as a mirror of his own helplessness. You will understand that his contempt is not a reflection of your worth, but a reflection of his own mediocrity. Before entering the arena, perform an act of sovereignty. Subscribe to the channel. Here, we do not beg for respect. We impose it. Leave a comment right away. What is the most unfair or absurd comparison your father has thrown in your face? By writing it down, you denounce the manipulator and begin your liberation. Stay until the end, because the exorcism begins now. We begin. Chapter 1. The Mirror of Helplessness. Projection as a weapon of destruction. To understand why your father compares you to the neighbor's son, you must stop looking at your own flaws and start performing an autopsy on his. This mechanism is not an evaluation of your merit. It is what psychoanalysis, from Sigmund Freud to Melanie Klein, calls projection. Your father projects onto you the shadow of his own renunciations. In clinical psychology, we speak of compensatory narcissism. Incapable of processing his own failures, the toxic father uses his son as a receptacle for his mediocrity. If he glorifies the other, it is not out of admiration for the other. It is to ensure that you will never exceed the glass ceiling of his own frustration. As psychologist Alice Miller explained in the drama of The Gifted Child, the toxic parent does not see their child as a sovereign individual, but as a function intended to fill their own narcissistic gaps. If he diminishes you, it is to enlarge himself. Philosophically, this practice is akin to the concept of ressentiment, developed by Friedrich Nietzsche in On the Genealogy of Morality. Your father is inhabited by a creative helplessness. Unable to be proud of who he is, he takes revenge on what he has engendered. By comparing you to the neighbor's son, he creates a master-slave dialectic, Hegel, where you are condemned to beg for a recognition he has already decided to refuse you. This is the paradox of the double bind, theorized by Gregory Bateson. He asks you to succeed, but when you do, he invalidates your victory through an external comparison. Scientifically, this repeated exposure to fatherly contempt alters your neurological system. Neuroscience studies on chronic stress show that verbal humiliation activates the same brain areas as physical pain. Your brain processes the phrase, "the neighbor's son is better than you," as a biological aggression, a direct attack on your social survival instinct. The Machiavellianism of this tactic lies in the use of an external ideal type. By setting up a stranger as an absolute model, your father ensures that the competition is rigged from the start. You are not fighting against a real man, but against an abstraction, a chimera decorated with all the virtues your father decides to attribute to him at that moment. It is a form of inner exile. You are no longer at home in your identity, because your identity is constantly redefined by the successes of another. As Jean-Paul Sartre emphasized, hell is other people, and here, hell is your father's gaze judging you through the prism of someone else's success. He is not trying to lift you up. He is trying to keep you in a state of minority, in the Kantian sense, a being incapable of using their own understanding without direction from another. By comparing you, he kills your autonomy to preserve his domination. He needs you to be less, so that he can feel more. Your inferiority is his only source of power. The diagnosis is made. You are not the problem. He is the patient. Chapter 2. The Arsenal of Comparison. The Engineering of Sabotage. The toxic father's arsenal does not rely on brute force, but on precision mental surgery. His favorite weapon is selective disqualification. In cognitive psychology, this mechanism consists of filtering reality to extract only what validates a pre-established thesis, your insufficiency. When you succeed, your father does not deny the fact. He nullifies its value by putting it into perspective with an unattainable external referent. This is what social psychology researchers call forced upward social comparison. Unlike a healthy comparison that encourages emulation, this one is designed to induce a state of narcissistic shock. As psychologist Leon Festinger demonstrated, we evaluate our own worth by comparing ourselves to others, but your father hijacks this biological process to transform it into an instrument of torture. He does not compare you to give you a direction. He compares you to make you lose your way. The most Machiavellian tactic is the use of the assassinating small detail. Did you just get a promotion? He will mention that the neighbor's son already has his own business. Did you buy a house? He will point out that a colleague's son had his built at 25. Philosophically, this method falls within radical negativity. It is the art of transforming every being into a lack. For your father, your success is only a defeat that hasn't confessed itself yet. He uses the success of others as a distorting mirror that reduces your mountains to hills of dust. Scientifically, this permanent sabotage acts on your reward system. Studies on dopamine show that parental recognition is one of the most powerful triggers of the feeling of satisfaction. By systematically refusing you this dopamine hit in favor of a dose of cortisol, the stress hormone, your father reprograms your brain so that success is associated with anxiety rather than joy. You become a hollow overachiever, a man chasing trophies that no longer have any taste. This engineering of sabotage also relies on what Robert Merton called the self-fulfilling prophecy. By constantly telling you that the other is better, your father seeks to make you fail your next steps out of pure insecurity. If you doubt your worth, you will hesitate. If you hesitate, you will fail. And if he sees you fail, he can finally say, "You see, I told you so." It is the vicious circle of validating his power. He needs your fall to prove his foresight. Here we find Carl Jung's concept of the father's shadow. He cannot stand for your light to exceed his own. So he projects onto you an artificial darkness made of poisonous comparisons. He uses the neighbor's life as a script he imposes on you, preventing you from writing your own legend. By making the other the measure of all things, he expropriates you from your own destiny. You no longer live your life, you live the comparison of his. It is a psychic murder committed with everyday words, a slow erosion of your soul under the weight of an ideal that is not yours, but his. Chapter 3. The Impostor Syndrome. Scars of the Soul. Your father's voice no longer needs to be audible to destroy you. It has lodged itself in the folds of your neocortex. What modern psychology calls the imposter syndrome is, in your case, the result of an engineering of insufficiency programmed since childhood. Scientifically, the concept of neuronal plasticity explains that repeated criticism from an authority figure during the developmental phase creates synaptic highways of self-depreciation. According to the work of psychologists Pauline Clance and Suzanne Imes, the individual thus conditioned is unable to internalize their own successes. Every victory is experienced as a misunderstanding, an error of fate that will soon be discovered. Why? Because the neighbor's son, that ghost of perfection, remains the only yardstick in your unconscious. No matter how high you climb the peaks, you feel like a usurper disguised as an accomplished man, waiting for the fatherly verdict to finally unmask your alleged mediocrity. Philosophically, this trauma resembles what Baruch Spinoza called sad passions, effects that diminish our power to act. By constantly comparing you, your father has fragmented your conatus, that effort to persevere in your own being. You no longer live to flourish, but to avoid disappointing, or worse, to try to repair the degraded image he has of you. This is the tragedy of Sartrean bad faith. You play at being a man, you play at being a leader, you play at being a husband, but deep down, you remain that child petrified by the Medusa-like gaze of his progenitor. This inner voice is what Sigmund Freud called a sadistic superego, a psychic instance that feeds not on morality, but on the humiliation of your ego. Even in your most brilliant triumphs, this superego whispers to you, "Yes, but he did it better." You are condemned to a race without a finish line, a Tantalus-like torment where every fruit you seize turns to ash as soon as it touches your lips. The after effects extend to your hormonal system. Research in psychoneuroimmunology demonstrates that chronic feelings of inferiority keep the body in a state of permanent alert, saturating your organism with cortisol and adrenaline. This oxidative stress kills your creativity and your ability to savor the present moment. You have become an anxious overperformer. You sabotage your male friendships because every man who succeeds around you becomes, by extension, a new incarnation of that hated neighbor's son. You can no longer have brothers. You only have rivals, as René Girard emphasized with his theory of mimetic desire. Your desire is no longer autonomous. It is mediated by the father's gaze. You don't want success for what it brings. You want it to snatch it from the other and hope for a second, to obtain a nod of the head that will never come. The scars on your soul are not marks of weakness. They are the stigmata of a psychic war, where they tried to erase you even before you learn to say I. As long as you have not practiced the exorcism of this fatherly ghost, you will remain a stranger in your own glory. Chapter 4. The Emotional Divorce. Killing the need for validation. Liberation does not begin with an explanation, but with an execution. To break the chain of comparison, you must practice what radical psychology calls selective emotional disengagement. You must accept the truth that will tear your heart out. Your father will never give you what you are looking for. Never. As long as you remain in expectation of an I am proud of you, you give him the knife to cut your throat. Scientifically, this need for validation is linked to the primary attachment circuit, but in adulthood, keeping this circuit open with a toxic parent amounts to neurological self-mutilation. As psychiatrist Murray Bowen explained in his family systems theory, maturity requires a differentiation of self. This means you must become capable of maintaining your identity and your convictions, even in the face of family group pressure or contempt. Emotional divorce is the act by which you strip your father of his title of supreme judge to demote him to the rank of a mere parasitic opinion. Philosophically, this step is inspired by the Stoicism of Epictetus. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them. The success of the neighbor's son is not a reality that impacts you. It is a fiction your father uses to manipulate your mood. By adopting a radical indifference, you make his weapons inoperative. If he compares you, do not argue, do not justify yourself. Justification is the language of the slave. If you try to prove your worth, you validate his right to judge you. As Friedrich Nietzsche emphasized in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, one must know how to detach oneself from the spirit of gravity. You must become your own creator of values. If you decide that your success is measured by your inner peace, and not by your bank account or the neighbor's car, then your father's venom no longer has a cellular receptor to bind to. You become biologically and psychologically immune to his contempt. This divorce requires killing hope. Hope is the strongest chain. It is the hope that one day he will change, that one day he will finally see who you are, that keeps you in the cell. In behavioral psychology, we speak of intermittent reinforcement. It is enough for him to give you a crumb of a compliment every 3 years for you to stay hungry at his table. You must declare a famine. You must mourn the father you wish you had to finally face the man he actually is. A limited individual, haunted by his own ghosts, incapable of greatness. By seeing him in his smallness, you kill the giant who oppressed you. This is not hatred. It is surgical lucidity, as Jean-Paul Sartre said. The important thing is not what they make of us, but what we ourselves make of what they have made of us. Reclaiming your mental territory means that his gaze no longer defines your horizon. You are the only standard, the only measure, the only master on board. The neighbor's son can reach for the moon. It changes nothing about the trajectory of your own son. The divorce is finalized. You are finally free to be you. And that is quite enough. The trial is over, and the verdict is in. You were never the problem. The neighbor's son is not a model. He is a handgun your father used to assassinate your self-esteem. By understanding psychological projection, hormonal sabotage, and the vital necessity of emotional divorce, you have just recovered the keys to your own identity. Your father is not the judge of your life. He is only the bitter spectator of a play. He does not have the courage to perform himself. The comparison ends here. From this moment on, every step you take, every victory you achieve, and every failure you endure belongs exclusively to you. You no longer have accounts to settle with a ghost, nor debts toward a fatherly expectation that is, by definition, a bottomless pit. The time has come to practice sovereign indifference. The next time he tries to inject the venom of comparison into you, look at him not with anger, but with the coldness of a man who has understood the magic trick. His word only has the power you lend to it.